Katasimu, 2%, 2%, what? Let me tell y'all, since the time I had that slogan, I had told myself that one day, one time, I'm going to use it. I don't know where, but if I get the opportunity, I'm going to use it. And I guess today was the day. So, hi everyone, how you doing? I hope you're okay, or at least you're trying. At this point, I feel like almost everyone is just trying. My name is Joy Dama, for y'all who don't know me. Karibuni sana. For y'all who know me, karibuni sana. So nianzie wapi? I know there are a lot of questions. Unajua, uko aje, umekuwa wapi, unaendeleaje, since nilinyamaza tu. So mali tu ninaonekananga ni event nikivend kama si hivyo. I'm so quiet. So I promise that I'll do a separate video for that, like completely like. That was the first video I wanted to do before this one that I'm doing today, because I just how can I put it? I'm sorry if I look shy or whatever, or if I seem shy. It's because I feel like this is new to me right now again. So I just want to do a video of how I've been and where I've been, what's happening in my life, because I feel like y'all have been a part of my life. You are the unseen family that I have. So yeah. So I just like y'all to know that I'm doing the best that I can, and yeah, I'll have a video for that. But for today, I have something special that I really want to talk about that's very close to my heart. So it's not going to be a very easy video for me to do. Let me just start by saying that. And also just putting out content there for me has been a struggle, really. The things that I had pretty much done away with, because this vlogging was pretty much something that my mom loved doing more. It was actually her who wanted to start a YouTube channel and put out content and all that. And this is not a journey I thought I would be walking alone without her. And yeah, so they're just things that I stopped doing completely, because for some apparent reason my mom and I were just like intertwined. Our dreams, our goals, our talents. Like, she loved singing, I love singing. She loved dancing, I love dancing. um she loved connecting with people. I do love that too. So pretty much most of the things we used to do them together. And just not being able to do them with her again. So for a minute, I really stopped. I stopped doing everything. I've recently started singing, and for some reason, it has been giving me so much peace. I completely stopped singing. I got rid of my keyboard. For y'all who would see me play keyboard, on IG, and I stopped doing a lot of things. Stopped dancing. Like, I completely stopped doing things that I used to enjoy doing, because losing someone who completely meant the world to you can destabilize you. I don't want to talk much about that, because I'll start falling apart. I'll start crying. Also, before I get into the topic that I want to talk about, the lighting is really gonna change from time to time because I'm using natural light. So yeah, ukiona nimechange rangi, don't worry about it. Alafu tena kutakuwa na makelele. I just want to say I live, sometimes it's noisy, especially now that the kids have closed school. So mkisikia makelele kwa background, I'm so sorry about it. I had to apologize first. So yeah, today the video that I'm going to be doing is around suicide. And as I've said, this is a very, very, very close topic to my heart. And recently it was Suicide Prevention Week. And let me tell y'all, the way I've been so detached from reality, I didn't even know it was Suicide Prevention Week. The main reason that I got into Suicide Prevention Week is because someone hit me up and they wanted me to sit down for an interview just to talk about, suicide. But I wasn't in the right headspace to do that at that particular time. I don't even know if I'm in the right headspace right now to do this, but I'm talking to a lot of people currently are going, who are having a lot of suicide feelings and suicide ideations and all these things. And a lot of people have asked me if I can just speak up about it, just in case you know there are people who are dealing with the same, and also for the fact that suicide has actually become, you know to me, I'd call it a pandemic at this point. Just in the month before, it's not even, September is not even over because today is September 23rd. I've calculated like 12 suicidal cases so far, and three I were in 1 week in Kenya, and I was just like, wow, wow. People are going through it, and being someone who's also going through it, because I can't sit down here with y'all and just be like, oh, y'all, I'm happy to be here, bruv. If God could just be like, yo, I'm picking you today, like, let me tell you, like, I live prepared. Because not being here would give me so much peace of mind. But I'm here and I'm trying. So while I am here and I'm going through whatever I'm going through, and I'm surrounded by people who are going through whatever they are going through. So yeah, I felt the need of doing a video like this today. So as I said, I'm going to be speaking a lot about suicide. So I wrote a lot of notes. As I told you, this is it's a very close subject to my heart. And just the fact that a lot of people are struggling in silence, and for those who speak up, are being met with more stigmatization than love. So a lot of people are finding themselves in situations where they just prefer, if I die, I die. Let people come cry, let people come say that, oh, we didn't see, we didn't, and we talked about it. But the stigmatization is there, and the stigmatization is real. On social media, everyone is like, oh, we have woke about mental health, but quite ground is any different. Ask me, I know. And from the experiences that I'm talking to people, and people are telling me, it's like the stigmatization is bad, and a lot of people are suffering in silence, not because they wouldn't want to speak up, not because they wouldn't want to seek help. It's because the moment they put themselves out there, it's like they get more bad than good. So I see you, I hear you, I am here for you. We are walking on this road together. So this vlog is gonna be like an hour tops. So let me just put it out there. It's gonna be like an hour tops because I want to tackle a lot of things. So I'm going to be talking a lot about my experience with suicide, questions that people have asked me regarding suicide, and also sometimes English disappears. Also, I what's the word? Why is it disappearing? Yani niliongea na watu nikasikia maoni ya watu wengine. Yes, imekuja kwa Kiswahili. So yeah, so this is just, it's like a joint effort. My realities, Google realities, and people realities. So yeah. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is, what is suicide? When people are talking about suicide, what is suicide? And before I continue, I hope that a lot of people get to learn and unlearn a lot of things about suicide, and I hope this video is going to be informative, and by the end of it, you will feel like you have, either you don't feel like you're completely alone if you are going through suicidal feelings, if you are suicidal, or if you know someone who's suicidal, you can be able to offer support in whatever way. And if you are suicidal, you can be able to get some help. Yes. So yeah. So what is suicide? Suicide is pretty much death caused by inflicting pain on oneself. So when we talk about suicide, we're talking about someone who decides, for whatever reason, it can be their reason that they no longer want to be, on this earth and living in the reality that they do live in, and they decide to take their own lives by inflicting harm on themselves, however someone does it. So we have two things. We have committing suicide and attempting suicide. And this is something that I really wanted to point out because I wanted to point out because most of the times, even with people who have been suicidal, we always confuse, may have committed suicide. No. So there's a difference between committing suicide and attempting suicide. So what is attempting suicide? So attempting suicide is when a person also decides to inflict harm on themselves with with the intention of killing themselves, but the action does not go through. So you make the decision of inflicting harm on yourself with the intention of dying, but then you don't die. Now, committing suicide is when you do the action and you do die. So that's the difference. And that's why you always hear, like, some people will say, they committed suicide, but before they used to attempt suicide a lot. It becomes you've committed suicide when the action, is successful. But if it's not, then you have attempted suicide. Okay. I hope that one was clear. Kabisa. I hope it came through visually. Then we go to causes of suicidal feelings. So pretty much suicidal feelings are usually brought by mental health problems, and mental health problems are brought by underlying factors that we have gone through, and our experiences. Pretty much they can be experiences that we went through them ourselves, or they can be experiences that we have gone through because of the actions of other people. So what are these different underlying factors? So we can have there are things like discrimination. So I will give an example of, like, me as a queer person. Yeah, we face a lot of discrimination. We have had a lot of people who have committed and attempted suicide as queer people because of discrimination. And to me, I always say discrimination is the worst. It's the worst and the ruthless most way of alienating people, and just because of how you identify, who you love, how you identify as a person. Let me tell you, some things about humanity just don't make sense. Because when it comes to discrimination, I don't get why we discriminate each other, be it by our gender, sexual orientation, our race, our tribes, our backgrounds, our financial stability at that point. Like, I completely don't understand. So this can be one of the factors. We also have something like bullying. People don't know how bullying can actually affect someone's mental state. Like, with me, I've seen bullying. I've never been bullied, like, especially like in school, but I have seen people go through bullying, and how it has affected them even as grown-ups. So yeah, it could be loss of material things, so that it can be loss of a job, it can be loss of money. Let me give you an example, like bankruptcy. Yeah, you have lost a lot. You have actually, like, lost everything. So yeah, that's also a factor that can lead to mental health problems. We also have something like lack of success. So when I say lack of success, someone might ask how. I'm going to use the societal standards of success, and I'm going to bracket it into an age group. Like, you reach a certain age group, and if you're not to the societal levels, then everyone thinks you're a failure, and everyone thinks like you're lazy, and whatever. And I don't know, I've said what, and whatever. And a lot of people can really bring you down. This is the time that you're seeing, your peers, they're building houses, they're getting married, some have kids, they're traveling, they're doing what, and you're there, you're hardworking. It's not like you're not hardworking, but your things just haven't panned out at that particular point. And this can really, really, really mess with your mental, especially if you live like in an African home with African parents and African siblings and all that. And everyone is just like, yo, you're 30. Why are you still at home? Why are you, your peers are driving cars. Wewe kazi yako tu ni kuenda kuchora badala uende ukatafute kazi ya office. All those things. So yeah, that can be something that can lead to mental health problems. Also something like conflict. People don't get how conflict can really mess you up, and that's why sometimes you hear that, oh, someone are committed suicide because they had a disagreement with the spouse, they had a disagreement with a family member, and you're just like, the ignorance ati how kusababu kukosana tu, how we talk, how we want to downplay people's pain or whatever. And the thing is, you never know the level of conflict. You never know how a conflict has affected a certain person. You never know what was said. You never know how someone held someone else. So conflict can, especially if it is unresolved conflict, it can really, really mess you up. And another thing is abuse. So this is actually the number one cause of suicidal mental health problems that lead to a lot of suicidal ideation, suicidal attempts, and successful suicidal attempts. And when I talk about abuse, I talk about physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. Most of the times when we're talking about abuse, people concentrate more on sexual abuse and physical abuse because they show the outside factors. They show the outside scars. But sometimes we really neglect, taking mental and emotional abuse seriously, because they are as important and valid as any other type of abuse. And the worst thing about it is that they don't have scars. Like, someone can be mentally abusing you, and it takes you a very long time to realize that this person is actually mentally or emotionally abusing you, unless you sit down and you tell someone who is woke about some things, and they're like, no, that's not right, that shouldn't happen. So sometimes we find ourselves taking in a lot of mental and emotional abuse without knowing it is, because some people like even disguise it as love, and you think, oh, this person loves me. But yes, so abuse is also a mental health problems. Now, mental health problems can lead to mental health illnesses. Not all the time do mental health problems lead to mental health illnesses, but depending on the intensity of how you are carrying, or how you have not healed, or how sometimes I always say, we usually push things to the back of our heads, and you're just like, when I'm strong enough, I'm gonna deal with it. And you get a lot of other things that are coming in life, and zinakugonga tu, unasukuma, yani unaongeza. And to me, pretty much that's how mental health illnesses come in, because we really don't deal with our mental health problems. We are not dealing with these underlying factors that are happening in our lives. So yeah. So when your mental health problems translate to mental health illnesses, so we have depression is the most common illness associated with suicidal feelings and suicidal ideations. In depression, it takes a longer time. Like, the suicidal ideations take a much longer time uh, to be able to deal with them because you are in this depressive state. I hope I'm making sense. I really, really hope I'm making sense. I'm so sorry I look like I'm tired. I am very tired. I'm not sleeping well. And I'm also dealing with a lot. So I'm so sorry if, sometimes my mood goes down or, it ponders. So I apologize for that. So, yeah. Uh, Also, in other diagnoses, yes, people do usually have depressive states happen, and that's when, like, mostly the suicidal ideations usually come, the suicidal feelings usually come. But when we say depression is the most common condition associated with suicide, is because with depression, it's like, hey, it takes the whole, I don't even know how I can explain it. Depression sucks. Like, yo, let me just tell you. Hey, Juicy, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I remember telling her, mental health has taken so much from me. Mental health has, mental health has beat me down. Like, I have gone through so much in life. I have dealt with illnesses, but mental health, depression imenikaranga venye imenikaranga. So yeah. um so what makes you know that you are becoming suicidal? So here I'm pretty much going to talk more of my experiences. I have 3 points here, and pretty I'm going to explain them much with my experiences. So the first point is talking about hopelessness, worthlessness, and having no reason to live. So since I have, been suicidal for a very long time, and I have attempted suicide, and I'm still here. Like, let me tell you all, there's nothing that sucks. I'm going to talk about that ukomusha. There's nothing that sucks like not wanting to be here and still being here. I know people are like, oh, you have a reason to be here, bruv. I'm still waiting for it. But anyway, talking about feeling hopeless, worthless, and having no reason to live. So, like, for me, every time I feel a relapse coming, because for me, I call them relapses, yeah. Every time I feel a relapse coming, I've become self-aware. I've become self-aware of what usually happens to me, and I'm very grateful that I've become self-aware, because I've also made my friends to become aware. So I tell my friends, you see, if I start acting like this, if I start talking like this, if you start seeing this trend in me, then just to know that I'm somewhere really bad. And I'm very grateful for the people who are closest to me, because they've become very observant, completely observant. Like, I've just been going through a manic episode, and everyone around me knew except me. Like, everyone knew except me. And the one reason that everyone knew is because I have made them self-aware of when I'm relapsing, how does it look like, how does it look like for me? So you'll hear someone talking, they're feeling hopeless, they're feeling worthless. You hear someone asking you, like, what is the point of me living? Because it's like I'm not making any strides, um, I'm completely useless. There's nothing good about me, you know. My future doesn't look bright, you know. I don't feel like I have any reason to live anymore, you know. If 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 the factors affecting you are like finances and whatever, you're like, mi uchapa hustle kila siku. I'm not seeing the fruits of my labor. Like, what is the point of all this? If someone is sick, you start hearing them say, I am so tired of, taking all this medication. I'm so tired of having to depend on people, to take care of me. I'm so tired of having to, deplete finances for people, all these things. Like, we really overlook when people are talking about hopelessness and worthlessness. And most people are just like, oh, it's just a stage, it's just something we all feel. No, it's not something everyone feels. It's completely not something everyone feels. And you should be very careful when you start hearing someone starting to talk like this, because it shows that they are not doing okay. Like, there's something completely wrong somewhere. Yeah. Talking, the second to know you're becoming suicidal, or someone is becoming suicidal, talking about wanting to kill themselves, or talking about death in a very disturbing way. So, when I talking about death in a very disturbing way, I'll give an example of talking about death in a very positive and comforting way. Whew, for this, I have to take it in, because I'll have to talk about my mom. And every time I start talking about that woman, oof, it's not easy. So, when my mom passed, the one thing that really disturbed me, like completely disturbed me, is I have spent almost every day of my life with my mom. And, just knowing the one time that, I could have really wanted to be there with her in that moment, that, she was transitioning to better days, yeah. I wasn't. Really messed me up, because someone told me that when someone you love dies, it makes a very huge difference if they get to say goodbye. And it also makes a huge difference if they don't get to say goodbye, especially if you're very close with this person. So, when my mom passed, in order for me to be able to start healing, I started researching on, what happens when someone dies, does someone usually feel like, they want to visit you, in their spirit, do people call, I started researching all these things. And I remember when doing my research, I saw a video of a lady talking. She works in hospice care, and she was saying of how, people start talking about death before they die, and they don't start talking about death in a bad way. They start talking about death in a very positive and comfortable way. And I sat down and I thought back to 2 months before my mom passed, and for some apparent reason, my mom started talking about death. And, I remember her telling me, Dama, I know if I die, it's really gonna affect you. I know it's gonna break you. Excuse me. But I want to know that you can be able to live without me. And, we she would mention this conversation so many times, until one day I remember I walked out. I completely walked out. I was just like, Mom, I'm not talking about death with you. Because to me, my mom was young. To me, my mom had just started living. A lot of people are like, oh, when you reach a certain age, you've lived life. No. We're the only people who know when our life starts. Like, at my age, I still feel like I'm not living. I don't know if I'm going to start living life at 30. Um, so, for me, when I sat down and I thought about it, that was talking about death in a very positive and healthy way. Because she was not talking about it in a disturbing way, like I want to die. She was just preparing me mentally. If I ever die, if I drop kuf dead right now, then you should know this and this. Now, when someone starts talking about death in a very disturbing way, you will hear someone, like, I will give my example. There's a day I was just talking with my friend. Tulikuwa tu tumeketi tunachapa story. Like, hatukuwa na mambo mingi. Yani, tulikuwa tu tunachapa story. And then the room we were in, I remember just looking at the curtain rail. And I remember I remember making a comment and I was just like, ile real unaona ni kama nikijinyonga inaweza nishikilia from nowhere completely. Yani tulikuwa tu hapo tumechapa story, yani kila mtu tu alikuwa tu zake. And I remember her looking at me and she was just like, huh? And I was just like, yeah. Do you think that rail could be able to hold me if I wanted if I hanged myself there? Because sometimes death just looks like the only peaceful thing to happen. That's talking about death in a very disturbing way, you know. Kwanzaa, I've spoken about death in a disturbing way, and I've spoken about killing myself. So, if my friend was not observant, or if my friend did not know about my mental health, we could even have laughed about it. Angeniambia, Dama ni mkubwa, wewe ukienda uhang hapo ushadunda. Ukienda uhang hapo ni hivyo, reli ishaanguka, nini ishaanguka, you know. So, a lot of people talk about death in a very disturbing way, or people talk about killing themselves. Unasikia mtu akikwambia, mimi siku moja mtanipata nimejiua. Unajua, and you're just like, uh-huh. And that's the funny thing, that a lot of people who commit suicide or who have attempted suicide, they have spoken about suicide. They have spoken about death, and not in a positive way. You hear some, like, I remember there's a time, I remember we were going somewhere with my ex. I can't remember where we were going with my ex, and I was just like, I told her, enjoy the time you have with me right now, because I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. And if it's someone else I'd have told that, they'd have taken it very lightly. But with her, she was like, uh-huh. I remember she was even on her phone, and she stopped and she's like, are you okay? What are you telling me? What are you planning on killing yourself? Are you feeling suicidal? Is there something that you're not telling me? So you have to be very observant, because people talk about these things without even, yes. The third point of what makes you know that you're becoming suicidal, someone is becoming suicidal, when people start self-harming. A lot of people self-harm, and a lot of people with mental health illnesses self-harm. A lot of people with mental health problems self-harm. Self-harm has become a way of, you know, people looking for reprieve through pain. And especially if you've gone through a certain, you know, there's a friend of mine who was trying to understand self-harm, because she couldn't grasp the concept of self-harm. And I remember telling her, there are people who you want to remove the pain that you're feeling on yourself, because when you add pain onto yourself, you feel the reprieve. I know how it sounds messed up, but self-harm has been known, especially for mental health patients, to cause reprieve. And that is why when you see someone self-harming, it should be very alarming, because no one should have to self-harm themselves. Completely self-harm themselves. I remember when I started self-harming myself, it's because the pain that I was feeling was too much. I wanted to inflict pain on myself. Does it make sense? I wanted to inflict pain on myself, because by inflicting pain on myself, I would not feel this other pain. Does it make sense? I'll give an example, like for my piercings. All my piercings are a result of a certain trauma. And the reason why I would go for a piercing, I'm not saying that everyone who goes for a piercing has gone to self-harm. Piercings are not self-harm. Piercings are beautiful. But for me, it's not even the process of getting the piercing. It's the process of healing. Because there's, like, I remember this piercing really gave me problems. This one, it got stuck to my nyama. It was bad. My mouth was swollen. But in me going through that process of pain, it helped me get through a certain pain that I was going through. Is that healthy? No. Should that happen? No. So please, if you have started self-harming, or you know someone who's self-harming, please seek help. However seeking help looks for you, please seek help. Self-harming is not good. Self-harming should not be encouraged. Self-harming is a great factor of mental health problems or mental health illness. So please, 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 your body should be your most precious place. You know, do not inflict harm on yourself, please. So the next thing I'm going to talk about are suicidal warning signs, or I call them suicidal symptoms. So tunaambiwa symptoms, signs and symptoms. The first one I'm going to talk about that people really overlook is having sleeping problems. Not sleeping is not good. Extremely, not sleeping is not good. I'm going to talk about my attempt in May because it's the only attempt that people got to know about. In the month of April, I was not sleeping completely. The most I could sleep was 4 hours. And that time I was still with my ex. And I remember she used to wake up to prepare for work at 4:45. And most of the times I'd have gone to bed at 3. So she'll wake up at 4:45 and then she'd leave for work to 5:36ish. Come on, that's the latest she'd leave. And I remember my ex had a ritual. When I talk about this, it's funny. But anyway, that's a story for another day. I'm going to tell you why this is funny on another day, not today. She had this ritual where she'd always kiss me on my forehead before she left, and she'd tell me I love you. She'd always whisper I love you. And kid you not, immediately she'd do that, I'd wake up. I'd wake up. Sincerely, I'd wake up. So tuseme nimeingia bed 3 na yeye ni kutoka 5:30 anatoka. So hizo ni 2, I'd wake up. And even if I wouldn't wake up on the spot there, immediately a bang mlango. Already hiyo ishaniamsha. Immediately to afunge mlango kutoka job, mimi nimeamka. I was not sleeping. I was so sleep deprived. I remember it got so much into my head. I thought I was going mad. And I'm sleep deprived. I'm still taking my antipsychotics. I'm still taking my antidepressants. I'm taking my sleeping pills, but my mind is not shutting down. And I could feel myself breaking. I remember even the therapist I was seeing at that time, I remember telling her, I feel like I'm breaking. I feel like I'm a zombie. When I'm walking outside, it's like I'm walking recklessly. Because I'm so tired. I'm completely not sleeping. So having sleeping problems is not good. Especially when you have mental health problems, it's not completely good. Okay. Number 2, severe sadness and moodiness. This is another thing people overlook. All of a sudden you're a happy person. All of a sudden, you feel like everything has been going okay. But, for some apparent reason, you start feeling sadness. This sadness just comes. And this is, especially for me, this is something that happens a lot. And when I was saying Ukombele, the way I become self-aware, this is one of the things I become self-aware about. I'm just like, I can feel, why was I happy 2 seconds ago and now I'm sad? Why? It doesn't make sense. For me, my moods really change and anything irritates me. Anything irritates me. Let me tell you, you can even buy me, I hate flowers. I think everyone in my life knows I hate flowers. But I don't have a problem of receiving flowers. If you feel like you want to get me flowers, I won't refuse the flowers because you have brought them. But I just don't like flowers. And let me tell you, I'm just using this as an example. You can get me flowers just to remind me or show me that you love me, and it will irritate me. It will irritate me. I'll just be like, kwani huyu hajui? Out of nowhere, completely out of nowhere. Let me tell you, unaweza kuja nikuone kwa mlango, nikuhug, alafu nione tu umetoa hivi maua na niko hivyo. My mood has, I don't know if this happens for a lot of people, but this are usually ones of the signs that I'm like, no, I'm not doing okay. Completely I'm not doing okay. Then there's withdrawal from reality. This one has become my best one. When I was starting this video, I was like, I didn't even know it was suicide prevention week, because I have completely withdrawn from reality. I have no social media presence. I have no social life completely. My social life currently are, my 3 friends and Most of our social life is either in the house, we go out for a few minutes and then we come back. Like, I have no social life completely. I completely withdrew. Like, I stopped doing the things I loved. I don't even have energy to do the things that I loved. I stopped being me. Like, if I might just put it like put it like that. And that's why I've said, when I started this, I said I'm not going to sit down and say that I'm not suicidal. No. Do I have days that I don't feel suicidal? Yes. But do I have most days that I feel very suicidal? Yes. And this is one of the things that, like, every day I wake up, it's a struggle for me to get out of bed because I'm just like, what am I waking up to do? You know, sincerely, what? I'm so detached from reality. I'm so detached from everything that is happening. What am I waking up to do? And this is one of the things you should really look out in yourself or in others. If you see, someone who's used to a certain routine, someone was used to, behaving in a certain way or doing things in a certain way, and all of a sudden you hate your job, all of a sudden you hate hanging around with your friends, you don't want to see your family, the things you loved doing, your hobbies, your interest, you have no interest in anything. That should be something that should be very alarming to you as a person who's going through suicidal feelings, or as someone who's having someone who's going through suicidal ideations. Then there's change in behavior and personality. So this I'm going to explain with the fact that I have OCD. So anyone who knows me knows I have OCD, and sincerely, like, for the friends who come to visit me, like, me was Ruma, like, sincerely, me was Ruma, because when you come to my place, then there's a procedure: wash your hands, you have to bathe, you have to nini 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 nini, so I had to, like, sit them down and just be like, this is who I am. And I'm so happy that everyone learns me very fast. Even the friends that I had, like, if I'd come to your place, unajua for Dama, you have to put clean sheets, umweke hapo towel, umweke nguo. Let me tell you, even if it's a party, I'll be the only one who will reach and bathe and I'll chill with everyone. Because, yeah. So now with my OCD, you'll find me, I'm just not doing anything anymore. I'm not cleaning the house. I'm having problems even just, having self-care on my body and all that. Like, in June, I think in June, it was so bad for me that I hadn't done dishes for a whole week. And I remember a friend of mine, Kujad, and she did the dishes, she did some cleaning, cooked for me. Yani, you know that this person is not in a good place. Like, completely. So when you see that change in behavior and personality, was this person jolly? Are you a jolly person? And all of a sudden, you hate everything about being jolly. You are easily angered, you are having conflicts with everyone, you're creating chaos. That's something that should be very alarming. um Another sign and symptom of suicide is undealt trauma. So if you have not dealt with your trauma, and dealing with trauma, there's no time frame of dealing with trauma. This is one thing that I always say. There's completely no time frame of dealing with trauma. People deal with trauma however they're going to deal with trauma. But the thing about now not dealing with trauma is that your trauma builds up. Unaelewa? Inaendanga ikiongeza, inaongeza, inaongeza, inaongeza. Hata kama pass inakuja, inatoka, utaona imetoka, alafu tena kidogo ile imebaki, imeruka mahali pengine, imetengeneza kadhundo kengine. Are you getting? So, undealt trauma can really, really, really lead to having suicidal feelings and completely attempting or committing suicide. Also, life crisis. And when we talk about life crisis, we pretty much talk about the change of life and however your life is. Life crisis can be loss of something. I think I mentioned that mahali. But why we say it's a symptom of suicide is because not being able to have the strength to deal with the crisis as it is happening at that particular time. So it can be like, for me, grief has been a life crisis, you know, and just navigating the whole reality now that I'm alone in this world, and the one person that I loved more than myself, more than life itself. And that destabilization, and having to now learn how to you know for me, I feel like the most hardest thing about grief has been to reinvent myself, because I pretty much don't know who I am without my mom. Because me and my mom were everywhere. Like, you all have seen me everywhere with my mother. Tungetembea hivi kidogo, mtu ananiuliza na mama kwa wapi, naambia huko nyuma ama ako huko mbele, unaelewa. So life crisis can really destabilize your mental health, and if you're not taking the initiative to deal with whatever your crisis is, then it can lead to suicidal feelings and suicide. Now, the last warning sign that we really, really overlook: sudden calmness. What have I said? Sudden calmness. Now, why am I saying that this is one thing that we really, really overlook? Wacha nikwambie, umeketi hapo na mtu, unajua mtu anapitia maisha, anapitia kenye anapitia, lakini huyu mtu ukimwangalia tu anakwanga tu amenyamaza. Ati Brayo anakwanga tu Brayo anapitia life. Zile vitu Brayo anapitia, ningekuwa mimi napitia, ningekuwa nimegoroka. Lakini Brayo anakwanga amechill. Brayo akikuwa nje anacheka na watu. Mkienda sport yeye ndo anatupigisha story. Acha niwaambie, Brayo hayuko sawa. Brayo hayuko sawa. Na kawe ni Brayo na umekaa hapo ama unajua Brayo hayuko sawa na hauko sawa. When someone sees that this sudden calmness, and for me, I say this is overlooked because most people who attempt suicide or who have committed suicide, before that, there's a sudden calmness. Mtu kama alikuwa anapiga makelele, hapigi makelele tena. Ukimwambia osha vyombo, anaosha vyombo. Ukimwambia leo msikia kupanguza nyumba, anapanguza nyumba. Ukimwambia leo pika. Ukimwambia mimi nataka kula KFC inaletwa. Yani huyo mtu hana story mob. Unaelewa? Hana story mob. Kama alikuwa anaenda analewa, analeta fracas, anaenda analewa na kuja na doze. Yani huyo mtu tu amenyamaza. Alafu na ukimwona mara mingi unasema, mimi nataka kuwa ule mse. Hata napitia. Yani life inanipiga, lakini mimi tu nimerelax. Ogopa. Ukijua mtu wako hivyo, ogopa. Kabisa. Ogopa. It's not good. It is the most alarming sign and symptom of suicide, especially if you know you have mental health problems, especially if you know someone has mental health problems or is dealing with something that can create mental health problems. Uone mtu tu amerelax all of a sudden. Ogopa. Sit down with this person, muulize uko aje. If you're that person and you're feeling like that, you're not okay. Sit down with someone, please. Most of us are really, really suffering in silence. And sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, as I do this video, I know it's hard to speak up. Maybe I know what speaking up has done for me. Like, sincerely, there has been positive and there's been a lot of negative. But let me tell you, the positive outweighs the negative. Like, completely. The positive outweighs the negative. The negativity will be there. Kuna wale watu watakukanyanga, kuna wale watu watakuongelea, kuna wale watu watakuja wakijifanya wanataka kukusaidia tu ndio wachukue information waende. Let me tell you, stigma is there. And when I'm doing this video, I'm not just doing it as someone who's going through mental health illness, but I'm doing it as someone who wants to show you that you are not alone. And anything that you're going through, trust you me, a million other people are going through. And from reading statistics, 100 out of 200 people have attempted suicide. 100 out of 200 people. 2 in every 6 people have committed suicide. Imagine if we spoke up. Imagine if we spoke up. What good can we do for ourselves? And what good can we do for others like us? And that is why I'm here. I'm not here because doing this video is easy. It's not. But I'm here because I want you to know that you are not alone. You know, I want you to know that whatever it is you're feeling, that you are not alone. Is it valid? Yes, it is very valid. And let no one tell you that the fact that you're feeling suicidal or you're having all these suicidal feelings and ideations, that you're being selfish, that you're a kwanza kuna hii kitu ya kusema ati oh you're such a coward, ati mtu ana face on life, ati kwanza please, kwanza let me put this out here, kwanza wa Kenya, hii mambo ya sisi kuambiananga ati mi kama mi nilipitia na mi sikufa, we nani ukufe? Let me tell you, everyone has their own strength. Kila mtu ndio mtu anaambiangwa, kila mtu amepewa mzigo wake. Hata kama mimi na wewe sasa tupewe kilo 5 ya mafuta, kila mtu ambaye abebe. Kuko na ule atabeba mwisho hadi mwisho bila kusimama. Kuko na ule mwingine atabeba akisimama. Unaelewa? You're carrying it, you're stopping. You're carrying it, you're stopping. Inamaanisha hatafika. Hatafika. So do not compare the way you handle things to the way someone else should handle things. Just because you have gone through a certain situation and you came out victorious doesn't mean that someone else has the same kind of strength that you have. Instead of comparing your strength, look for ways that you can be able to empower this person to be able to get to the place that you are. Tumeelewana? Okay. So after that, how do you know that this is a question that a lot of people have asked me, and that's why I had to I had to include it here. I really want to do this very quickly because ninaona time inaenda sana na ninaongea. This is a very topic kwa roho hapa. So how do you know that is the day of the suicidal attempt? A lot of people ask me this. Unajuangaje ni hiyo siku unataka kukufa? So in this, from how I've spoken to people and from my point of view, there are people who plan for a suicidal attempt, and you just don't wake up one day and plan for a suicidal attempt. It's because you have been going through all these suicidal feelings. You know, you are going through whatever mental health problem you have or whatever mental health illness you're diagnosed with. So this is something that you have just not woken up one day. For some people, you've just not woken up one day and decided that today, that I just don't want to be here. There are people who actually plan for it. I'm going to give you an example of someone who contacted me after I did part of my story with the Shared with Justice. And I remember he told me when he was attempting suicide, he had dealt with depression for 2 years without feeling better. The suicidal feelings, he had dealt with them for a whole year straight. And he had told himself by a certain date, time, I don't want to be here. So what he did is, when that day was nearing, the first thing he did was resign his job. Alienda kapeana resignation letter. The second thing he did, immediately kutoka tu job, alienda bank. Akaambia bank anataka kuclose account yake. And you know, in the Kenyan bank system, I don't know if it's like this all over the world, if you want to withdraw a certain amount of money, you have this, it's not over the counter like bengi betu vile tunaendanga over the counter. So you have to like wait because there's a whole procedure. So he told me how the manager was just like, you know, you can leave and then come back, we're gonna phone you when, you know, the process is over. And he was just like, no, he waited. He told me how he waited. Yani alikuwa na nguvu. So after that, when he got his money, aliniambia alikuwa amebeba bag. When he got his money, he went, anything that he felt like he wanted to do for his loved ones, he did. Completely did. And whatever amount of money ilibaki, he used it on himself. And then the day of the day that he had chosen will be his last day came, and the attempt wasn't successful. Kupita hapo siwezi ongelea hiyo ingine unless anipe consent. And yeah, so this is just me showing that for some people actually tell themselves that by this day and this time I don't want to be here anymore. I have tried my best, I have given my best. And also there are people who put a time limit just to see if anything will change, if how they're feeling will change. And then now there are people like me. I have completely never sat down and planned that I'm going to attempt suicide on a certain day or at a certain time. And this is something that has really been, unless you're very close to me, this is something that has really been a bother to a lot of people, because you're just like, 2 hours ago we were together. How am I being told that Dama is in hospital fighting for their life? It does not make sense. And for me, it usually comes, I've already been having this, like right now, I'm having this suicidal feelings and all these suicidal tendencies. So it has been like that for me, just to know that this person is dealing with whatever they're dealing on whatever capacity they're dealing with it. So for me, it comes like an itch. I'm just like, no, I just can't do it anymore. Like completely, I cannot do it anymore. And at that time, I'm just like, what's at my disposal that I can use? Completely, what's at my disposal that I can use that I know will take me and take me completely. So there are people like me who, you've dealt with all these ideations and all these feelings for a very long time. You're dealing with your mental health illness. And then it just reaches a point you're just like, imagine, no. And that's why you'll see someone say, but we were out partying jana usiku and today they're dead. Like, how did it happen? Probably this person hadn't planned that in the morning they're going to be dead, or usiku they're going to be dead. They just reached the house and they were just like, I can't take it anymore. Whatever it is, I just can't do it anymore. So yeah, that's what usually happens. Another person asked me this question: how is a person before a suicidal attempt? And some of these questions you might think they're ignorant questions, but these are questions that a lot of people ask themselves, especially if you have lost someone through suicide. And I remember also when I did the Shared with Justice story, there's a lady who called me whose son committed suicide. And I remember her asking me, what usually goes through your mind, before that moment? Because I've sat down and I've tried to understand, what was going through. I'm getting overwhelmed. What was going through my son's mind during that time? And I told her most of us break down, like completely. I break down, and I don't know. I have not spoken to anyone who has attempted suicide who hasn't told me the same. We completely break down. Like, it's usually bad. I'm going to, I don't know if I should do this, but I'm going to attach 2 videos just to of me breaking down before a suicidal attempt. And for me, I would do these videos for my loved ones, so that you know why I had to go. When you get my phone, you will know why I had to go. So yeah, I keep on telling people, committing suicide or attempting suicide has to be one of the hardest things for a human being to do, because no one wants to inflict pain on themselves. No one wants to cause harm on themselves. No one wants to rid themselves of, their life through pain. I mean, everyone usually hopes that their death is going to be, a smooth transition, you get? And so having to inflict pain on yourself, because let me tell you, we feel pain. Like, I know the amount of pain I felt. At that time when you're feeling, especially your tummy, some people vomit, some people, it's it's not easy. So instead of stigmatizing people who have attempted suicide and have not been successful, instead of making fun of them, instead try to understand why they felt like they needed that, and show them love. Like, what? So there are three things that I'm left to speak about: how to help a suicidal person before a suicidal attempt, how to help someone after a suicidal attempt, and acceptance, how to live after a suicidal attempt. So the first one I'm going to tackle is how to help a suicidal person before suicidal attempt. First point, offer support. So offering support can be on a personal basis or it can be on a professional basis. So on a personal basis, this is you just, being a friend, being, a parent, being a sibling, being a partner, listen to this person, talk to this person, look for ways that you can be of help to this person. And this is also one thing I want to add on the looking for ways you can be of help to this person. I know as human beings, we're very selfish and we want to do things the way we want to do them. And, sometimes we talk from this perspective of, but, me, I was helping them the best way I knew I can. No. When you're helping a suicidal person, it's not the best way you know you can. It's the best way that they can be helped. Unaelewa? And this is how kuna kwanga na hiyo, mtaisemaje, kuachana ni kama hampatani. Sit down and ask someone, how do you want me to be of help? Unaelewa? Don't start helping from how you think you should help them. Sit down, because the way you think you should help someone can be a way that maybe is going to create a strain between you and this person. So sit down and ask this person, how would you want me to be of help? And on whatever level you can be able to help them, then help them. When I say offering support on a professional level, is now seeking therapy, going to a psychiatrist, if it is getting them into a psych facility, like all this. Now that's on the professional basis, and this you can do by yourself, if the person is also in a position to do it for themselves, they can be able to do it for themselves. But as long as you're just there to hold their hand, because I feel like that's what really matters, just the support, and just someone knowing that they're not dealing with this alone. Because also there's something that I've come to realize with suicidal persons, is that we hate feeling like a burden, and that's why we really isolate ourselves, because we feel so much of a burden to people. I'm so sorry, watoto wameanza kucheza. I'm so happy I started this before kabla waanze. It's feeling like a burden to people, and even when people are like there for you like so much, you're just like, but I'm really burdening these people. So just offering that support and being and reassurance, actually. And that's my second point. Remind them that they are loved. And I'm just going to emphasize on that burden thing. We always feel like we're a burden. Like the friends that I have now, we are in each other's lives because they constantly remind me that I'm not abandoned. Like even when I like try kidogo like this to push them away, they're like, "Eh, where are we going? We're not going anywhere. We are not going anywhere." There's even a friend of mine who was just like, "Dama, there's nowhere I'm going. You think I'm going? Tunamaliza hii journey pamoja." So just constantly reminding and assuring someone that you love them, that you want to be there present, not because you're being there because you feel like you need to be there. Like it's something that you have made a decision in your mind that you want to do. So yeah, remind them that they're loved. Constantly check in on them. If you know someone is suicidal, constantly check in on them. Checking in on them can be, calling them. It can be passing by their place if you're neighbors. If it's someone you feel like you want to be in their space or them in your space. That can also be checking, constantly checking up on someone. Um, Telling someone they trust about the fact that they're suicidal. Uh, that is really very important. So if you know someone, let's say, if they have a parent they trust, don't be out here going to tell everyone that someone is suicidal. No, because telling some people is creating a rumor. It's creating a chain of gossip. You don't want to worsen the mental health of this person. Unaelewa? You don't want to trigger the suicidal attempt further. So if someone, and we always know, you'll always know who someone trusts. So it can be their mom if they have a mom. It can be a dad if they don't have parents. Maybe it can be a sibling. If not that, it can be. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me just have some water. It can be chosen family, because most of us have chosen families. Like I do have a chosen family. I pretty much don't have blood, but I do have chosen family. So just let someone else outside the circle of both of you. Someone they also trust can be their therapist, which is very important, especially if they are in therapy. Reaching out to the professional who's working with them through the mental health journey. That is also something very important. Just look for someone that they really trust and tell them, because that support, creating that support, is really important. Now, that was how to help someone before a suicidal attempt. Mjue tofauti. And nowadays, how to help someone after a suicidal attempt. Nimesema vipi? I'd be a fool if I go back. Sijui imetoka wapi, but anyway. How to help someone after an attempt. First thing, show them love. A lot of people, and I also know sometimes it comes from a place of love. There's always this question of why. Umeambiwa mtu alikuwa ana attempt suicide, hakukufa, and the moment you lay your eyes on them, you're just like, why Dama, why do you want to die? Why? We love you so much, we have done this, we have done. No, that is wrong, and that is something that people need to stop, like completely stop. This person love. The moment you lay eyes on them, just remind them, I love you. I am happy that you're still here. Positive affirmation. Like, you are loved, you are beautiful, you are handsome, you are amazing, you are worthy. Unaona? See, easy ma, wait. What? Okay. Do not force them to open up immediately if they're not ready. This is also another mistake we make as people. Someone has just come from a suicidal attempt, and the first thing y'all want them to do is to start talking. Sasa nini nakusumbua? And I know some of these questions come from a point because you're shocked. You're shocked. It was either you find them in a hospital bed, or you find them in a grave, mnamzika ama amezikwa, unaelewa. And I do get that some of these questions come from a point of love and of care, but to this person it doesn't feel like that at that time. It feels like you're stigmatizing them. So don't force someone to open up immediately if they're not ready. If I wake up from an attempt and I want to talk about, why I don't want to be here anymore, let it be that I'm the one who wants to talk. But don't force it out of someone. Because let me tell you, when someone wakes up from a suicidal attempt, the first thing you do is blame yourself. And you're not blaming yourself for the attempt, you're blaming yourself for not dying. Let me tell you, and this is a joke we make with, my friends, because most of them have mental health problems and they have, been suicidal at a point in their life. And we're just like, imagine, just sit down in your brain. Imagine feeling like you failed in life and then failing in death. Do you know how it messes us up? Yani, you have failed in life. Yani, you don't want to be here because you feel you're a failure in whatever capacity. However you feel you have failed in your life. And then you don't fail in death. And then you fail in death, sorry. And then now you have to explain to yourself how much of a bad person must I be that this world does not want me. But also death. Hey, let me tell you, it messes up with our psyche. And when you wake up from an attempt, that's the first thing you're always thinking about. You're like, wow. I'm still here. And that's why most of us withdrew. Again, let me give an example of my attempts in May. I had 2 attempts in a span of a week. And after my first attempt, when I woke up, I didn't have a problem talking to people. Like, I didn't have a problem talking to people. But after my second attempt, I completely withdrew. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to see people. I was staying in my room most of the times. I didn't want to talk to a therapist. I didn't want to talk to anyone. Because I'm there, I'm thinking to myself, what is it that I have not done? I completely don't want to be here. But I'm still here. And there's nothing that messes with your mind like that. Yani, even in death, I'm failing. Something has to be completely wrong with me. That even in death, I'm failing. Yani, hadi kifo hainitaki. Unajiangalia unasema hivi, unasema hadi kifo hainitaki. There's a guy I spoke to in June, and he works in the medical profession, and he was encouraging. When he was telling me this, he was telling me this from a point of encouraging me. And I remember him telling me, Dama, let me tell you, there's so much you still have to give to the world. You might not see it at this time with everything that you're going through, and I do understand everything that you're going through. Don't look at me as trying to downplay whatever you're going through, but there's so much you still have to give to this world. Because sincerely, he told me this. Sincerely, from my medical experience, I do not see why you're still alive. That's what he told me. From the ways that you have tried to attempt suicide, I don't see how you're still alive. I don't see how your organs are still working. I don't see how you're still, you're still here. I don't get it. And that in itself should show you that God is not done with you. You're getting. There's still so much you need to offer this world. And it was just affirming me in a positive way that made me see my worth. Because the one thing that mental health takes from us, and like me for my mental illness, is seeing my strengths. Around the same time, an acquaintance from back in the day calls me, and she's like, how are you doing? I'm not here. to call you and ask you why you don't want to be alive. I don't. All I want to tell you, Dama, is I want you to remember everything that you've gone through. Many people don't know what I've had to deal with in life. And even when I did the story with Shad with Justice, any person who did not know me before 2015 was very shocked. They're like, the way you don't talk about anything, you just carry yourself like, your life is just okay and perfect. And to know that that was even just like a tip of my story. And she calls me and she's like, if anytime you forget, I want you to remember your strength. Because some things you have dealt with, most of us would be dead. If we were given the same things to deal with, we would be dead. But you're still here. You possess so much strength that you don't see. And that is one thing that I try to, when I'm talking to people with mental health illnesses, sometimes I want to know your past. I want to know what are the things that you've tackled, and you felt like that could have been the end of you, and you still came out victorious. And most times I tell people, tap on that strength, because sincerely that's the strength me I've been tapping on recently. I'm just like, but then I went through this, and I know everything. I know every trauma has its own intensity. Like, grief for me is something that, wow, that's just going to be another topic on its own. Because, wow, what is grief? Wow. So sometimes your mental health illness or your mental health problems or your underlying factors, whatever you're dealing with, can block you from seeing all the mountains that you've climbed. And sometimes it's good to surround yourself with people who remind you of who you are. Yeah. So nimesha tackle number 3, surround yourself with positive reinforcement. Give them, now this is something very important. This is something very, very important. How to help someone after a suicidal attempt. Give this person time to grieve the failed attempts. You are grieving the fact that you didn't die. You're grieving that death that you saw in your head. Because before when you are in the process of attempting suicide, in your head you're not waking up in this reality. So you have woken up in this reality. You need time to grieve that process. You need time to grieve the death that you so wanted, or you so want. So give this person time to take it in and just be like, okay, I'm still here. So what happens? What happens after here? What happens after here? Not that I'm here. What happens after here? And that's why you're told to give someone time to grieve that moment, to go through this, to feel all these emotions, to feel everything that is going through them. Usiharakishe mtu sijui, or you need to start talking to us, or you need to start talking to other. You need to let this person take in the fact that they've woken up, take in the fact that they're going back home, take in the fact that they're going back to the same reality that they're trying to run away from, and let them, you're trying to help them, you're trying to get away, but you cannot help someone who is still who is trying to still look for a way to help themselves. If right now you come and ask me, Dama, how can I help you? And I tell you, I really don't know how you can be able to help me. It's because in this situation, I'm not even seeing how myself I can be able to help me. But if you give me time, like this is one thing I tell people, because a lot of people ask me this question, Dama, how can I be of help to you? And sincerely, may usually tell you, right now I don't know. I'm going through so much I don't know. But when I sit down and figure out how you can be of help to me, I will let you know. And sincerely, when I figure it out, I will tell someone. So now I have an answer for you. Like, that's what I do. I'll be like, now I have an answer for you. How also to help someone after an attempt. Do not stigmatize or discriminate them. Do not make them feel like shit for not wanting to be here. And this is something, especially in the African culture, that people do. You're bringing shame to this family. You know, what are people going to say that you wanted to kill yourself? Excuse me. What are people going to say about us as a family, as a people? You know, even if you died, we couldn't have buried you in your family home. I don't know if y'all have, if people still have those customs, if you've died by suicide, then you can't be buried somewhere, because it's gonna be a curse. So you can't even have like preaching at your funeral or whatever. And I'm just like, wow, you're stigmatizing people even after death. Now, if they're alive, like, just try not to stigmatize or discriminate. What someone needs after a suicidal attempt is so much love. However that love looks like, ask them, you know, how they would want you to express love for them right now. And if they don't know how to answer, then show them love in a way you would want to be shown love. I think, let me put it like that. If you are them, I don't know. Okay. Now, for my people who have, you know, been suicidal, or, you know, have just come out of a suicidal attempt, or, you know, they have come out of a suicidal attempt and you're still stuck, you know, in the space of how do I move forward. There are videos that have been going around on social media, and I don't know if y'all have been able to see them. Nimeongea sana na kauka hapa. But this is the last point. The last topic, then it's a wrap. There are videos that have been going around social media, and a lot of people have been saying, you know, I tried to kill myself when I was 20. I'm now 30, and I have not had a plan for my life, because you didn't have a plan for your life past 20. You know, you're 30 and you're still on autopilot. You don't know what is happening in your life. You're just, and the saddest thing is, a lot of us get stuck in that space. I am stuck in that space right now. I am stuck in the space of, I don't want to be here, but I'm here. So what happens now? You know, I'm stuck in that space that, you know, the greatest support system I do have is myself, and then now my friends. You know, I am someone who has grown up in a household with a parent who really valued family. So family to me is something very important. Family to me is something really, really important. And just knowing that I don't have that system anymore. So most times I can even be sitting with my friends and I'm just like, what's the point? What am I living for? Like, consider this thing that we usually, I'm so happy I've not forgotten to say this. There's this thing we always tell people who are suicidal. Oh, there's so much you have to live for. You know, you have your kids, your parents, your life, your job. Let me tell you, when someone is suicidal, they don't see all these things. Probably they're seeing removing themselves from all these things is going to create a better environment for all the people you're saying they need to live for. And you should always remind someone that if you have to live, it has to be for yourself. For the great things that you want in your life. Because when you start telling them to live for everything else, you're being selfish. You're not thinking of them, you're thinking of other people. You have to remind them that this is your life, and you have to get better for yourself so that you can be better for other people. Because at no point will you not be better yourself and be better to other people. It doesn't work like that. Even if people try so much, it doesn't work like that. So, how to live after a failed attempt. So, this is something that I also spoke to a lot of people who have attempted suicide and we are living, you know, because I really just didn't want this to just be from my point of view, because I'm also at a place where I'm stuck, you know, on leaving after an attempt, you know, and if you're like me after so many failed attempts. So the first point is be kind and patient with yourself. And this is something that I find hard to do to myself. And especially, I have one friend who noticed this, and she's called Tess. Um, Tess usually tells me so many times, Dama, you show so much kindness to people and so much love to people, but you're so hard on yourself. Like completely, if you know me, if you've sat down with me, I'm usually very hard on myself. It's like I view myself on this pedestal that is perfect. So I told myself, especially with the experiences that I've gone through in life, that I have to be hard on myself before someone else becomes hard on me, or life becomes hard on me. And just being kind to myself sometimes is like a really, really great deal. But I'm learning, and I'm really being patient with myself. Like, I'm letting everything unfold the way it's supposed to unfold. I'm letting life happen the way it's supposed to happen. You know, if something is out of my control, I completely let it go. Like, sincerely, I completely and completely let it go. Um, therapy. Therapy is also a way um, to lead you to acceptance that you're still in this reality, and how to move, how to move on. How do you navigate life from this point? So if you can be able to afford therapy, that is something great. If you cannot be able to afford therapy, um, and you have a great support system around you, then that is also therapy. Like, I've come to realize that therapy doesn't have to be like sitting down in front of a therapist and just talking. Okay, it's very important, not it's even good, it's very important to have a professional point of view when it comes to mental health. But if you cannot afford it, your therapy can be the people you trust, the people you love talking to. Ukisikia akili yako inaruka, pick that phone, call that person. Like, at this point, I have a friend, Stella. Me and Stella, I think we talk like more times than we should in a day. Ukisikia zako zimeshika zimepanda kwa akili na unasikia kama unagoroka, you just pick the phone, and we talk. And to me, that's therapy. To me, we talk, and yeah. Surround yourself with positive vibrations. When I say surround yourself with positive vibrations, is surround yourself with positive people, positive things. You know, even if you're in a negative environment, because it's so sad that after suicidal attempts, we still go back to that reality that we're trying to run away from. But, in that reality, look for things that could bring you any form of happiness. It could be, cooking, it could be singing, it could be dancing. Maybe for some few hours in the day, you can escape and just go lie somewhere and just, feel the earth, feel the wind blow, have a bad poop on your face and feel like you're connected to, the world and all that. And yeah, just try and surround yourself with positive vibrations. However hard it feels like please do try. Start. This is something very important. Start from scratch. Do not be in a hurry to get back to the old you. So, when I say start from scratch, do I mean? I'm like, when we wake up from the attempt, then some of us are very much in a hurry just to go back. You know, you want people to see like you're doing okay, and you want to convince yourself that, you know what, I got this. Excuse me. So you're so much in a hurry to go back to doing this, the old things that you're doing, and doing things the same way you're doing them. And sometimes we forget that it is doing the old things and doing them the same way that we were doing them that got us to that point that we were in. So start from scratch, you know. Do not hurry to get back to the old you, you know. Reinvent yourself if need be, you know. I always say, like, waking up from a suicidal attempt is it can be, it can be powerful and beautiful in so many ways. And that almost having when people wake up from near death experiences, they always wake up with, you know, a different way of seeing things. So it's just up to you to just, you know, take the good from the bad. And I believe that everyone who wakes up from a suicidal attempt, there's still something that you are still meant to do here. I don't know. I know it doesn't really make sense, because even me, I'm trying to figure it out. Like when I'm here, like, yo, I'm trying to figure it out. But I believe that there is. So yeah, take yourself slowly. And the last, about accepting yourself, you know, and how to live after a suicidal attempt, is concentrate on doing things that bring you joy. When I started doing this video, from the beginning, I said that there are a lot of things that I stopped doing. Yeah, I stopped singing. I stopped, you know, I stopped dancing. I stopped, you know, anything that I started doing. Even my match, I started making my match juicy because I was just like, what's the point? I'm tired. What's the point? What's the point of life? What is the point? And there's nothing for me. I don't know if it is like this for other people, but there's nothing as difficult as grieving with a mental health illness, because it's like you're carrying two giants, and two giants need to be fed, you know. And balancing them for me has been one of the craziest things that I have ever had to do. I don't even know where I get strength sometimes, but I'm still here, and for as long as I can be here, I will be here. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do this. When I'm doing this videos, y'all, me, I'm not gonna be lying to you. Am I feeling exhausted? I am feeling exhausted. But am I trying? Yes, I am trying. I give myself props for trying, and I give myself for being intentional with it. So I really hope that this video has been informative and educative. You know, we have learned and unlearned some things, and yeah, please tell me what you think about it. I'm mentally exhausted, if you can see. I didn't know, and kama surangu may change, much may change. I'm mentally exhausted. This has been a heavy topic for me, and I'm so happy that I did break down at whatever point. So yeah, thank you for vibing with me till the end. I know it's like an hour 30 minutes, but I hope it's an hour 30 minutes of great food to your mind, you know. Yeah, so I will be doing more vlogs on mental health. I will be talking about my previous diagnosis and my new diagnosis. I'm going to be bringing on board people with mental health illnesses, and we're going to be talking a lot about that. I'm also going to be having like more other content, you know, like it's the reinvention, yeah. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for vibing with me. Thank you, you know, for staying till the end of this video. You know, share it to anyone who you think is it's going to be beneficial to. You know, like, comment. You know, tell me what you'd love to hear from me. Yeah, and tell me if you're willing to walk this journey with me, because I don't want to do it alone also. So asanteni sana. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. You know, share love not only to yourself but to other people. I love you all so much. Bye bye. I'm tired. It's been 1 hour 30 minutes. I'm exhausted. Mentally, physically, emotionally, I am burnt out. I have to go cry kidogo. Oh, is what it